हरि ओम। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ॐ श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचां शरीरं मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पातञ्जलि प्राञ्जलिना नतोऽस्मि। हरि ओम। We all tend to lead a life many a times simply because we are born and we have been told to lead a life in a certain manner by the elders in the early part of the life, and then by our own understanding of the surroundings in the remaining part of the life. Never ever a thought comes to our mind that whether the life that I'm leading is the real way to lead the life. And it covers all the aspects of life. I eat my food because I have been eating that kind of food in my family, or this current society and the peers that I stay with, they eat that kind of food, so I eat that kind of food. We don't question. We don't think why I am eating the food that I'm eating. We dress up the way my society and my peers give preference to. I follow them, I become a part of it. I do not question the need, the necessity of what I wear. So every action that I do is done as if I am pushed into a crowd that is moving in some direction which I am not aware of. As a result of which, I lead a life that is far, far removed or far, far deviated from what it is meant to be. And the tragedy of this deviation is only with human beings. None of the other species, take for example a bird, he would fly, he used to fly, he was flying. He eats grains, he was eating grains, he shall continue to eat grains. We do find some environmental or nature's adaptation to the species over a period of time, but that is as per the evolution of the nature. But we do not find other than human beings changing the way of life, the way the human beings change. One of the reasons why this happens is simply because human beings are endowed with an ability to think. And that ability to think was the culmination of evolution meant for understanding the divinity in himself. The same power of thinking was misutilized for conquering the nature or altering the nature, and the very purpose of redefining the divinity in us has been lost. Because of which, the entire ability of ours as human being to think has been completely either misutilized, underutilized, or abused. When such an abuse takes place, then we are born with a mind that is supposed to function in a particular manner as destined by the nature has been altered, and a mind that works in a bizarre manner has been instituted. A neutral observer who was supposed to be a part of the cosmos, precisely meant for observing and enjoying the varied entertainment of the nature created by a juggler called Ishvara, has been replaced by a bizarre mind which has completely undergone a change and has redefined the world around him in his own manner, through his own mind. And that is why the world that we live in is not the world that we are supposed to be in. We are not supposed to be suffering from what we are suffering. That is an aberration. The very reason why we are born is because we are part of his creation. And being a part of God's creation can never be a painful state. The very reason why we are having pain and sorrow in our life, which is abundantly seen around, is because we are not the way we should be as God's constituent of creation, but we are today standing at a point where we have created our own world. We are not in Lord's world, we are in our own world, and the creator of this world is mind. So every attempt made by the mind to create the world is called vikshepa, the projectility of the mind. The mind projects thoughts. So when a mind is about to project a thought, it is supposed to be in a condition called tossing of mind. The tossing of mind resulting into throwing of a thought in this world is called vikshepa. The mind ideally is not supposed to be doing this vikshepa, but it is supposed to be constantly in resonance with the frequency of the cosmos established by the Lord Himself in the form of Omkar. The Omkara vibration, which is the creator constituent of the universe, and me being one of the creator constituent of the universe, I should always be aligned with the vibrations of Omkara, which would mean that I shall be at the mercy of the Lord, and then being in perfect tuning with the nature, I shall never suffer from any aberrations called pain and sorrow. Mind well, when the Lord created the universe, there was no pain and there's no happiness also. Either of these are aberrations. Both of them depict a state which is artificial. I'm happy means I'm not in pain. So if the pain and sorrow is an aberration, abnormality, happiness is an abnormality. Absence of pain and sorrow and happiness is a state which I can't describe, but called as Anandam, where there is perpetual absence of pain as well as happiness. That state is my original state in which, as a human being, constituent of the creation, should stand. However, for a variety of reasons, the main being avidya, I've been condemned to lead a life of a human being who is constantly in the process of projecting the mind in the world in the form of thoughts. Every change in the state of every change in the serene, pristine, pure, peaceful state of mind is called vikshepa, and these vikshepas are the main obstacles for anyone to attain vritti nirodha, the modifications of the mind, the projectility of the mind in the form of thought is called vritti, which is a vikshepa, and these are all obstacles to the peace and the happiness or the original state of the mind, meaning the state of the human beings. This original state is called samahita chitta. So you have a substratum called chitta, the only and the only, the one and the only recipient ground, interactive ground, constructive interface between Lord and the world. Who are we? We are Pancha Mahabhautika Sharira, which is a dead part. It's all going to go back to the Pancha Mahabhuta. It has come from there. It is just an assemblage. The only relevant part in the body is the mind called Antakarana or Chitta, which is the constructive interface between the world and the Lord. And the constructive interface, the projector itself is under aberration. So it is projecting wrong film, not the right film. So what yoga does is, it believes that if all these vikshepas are brought under control and annihilated, destroyed in toto, then we shall be in the original position. Then the mind will be samahita chitta. Then the chitta will be precisely doing the same function that the Lord expected the chitta to do. Then the chitta will be closer to the Lord. Then the chitta will be Ishvara Sadrusha. And then such a Ishvara Sadrusha chitta will be said to have released itself from the bondage of Prakriti. Anything that is released from the bondage of Prakriti is supposed to have seen Purusha and understood Purusha, which is called Purusha Khyati. The Khyati is the real understanding. Akhyati is illusion or Brahma. So all the Vikshepa leads to Brahma, illusion. So we are living in illusion, considering illusion as reality. And that is why Patanjali Maharaj starts with the definition of Ishvara, then says he can be obtained by Pranava, Tasya Vachaka Pranavaha. If we constantly recite or constantly try to be close to the Ishvara, that japatad artha bhavanam, with the feeling of Ishvara, if I am able to recite the name of the Lord, adopting the yogic practice of meditation, it shall help me in understanding the Purusha, and also there will be antaraya abhavascha. That means I shall overcome all the obstacles. The obstacles or the antaraya are nothing but the vikshepa or the projectility of the mind. Because of all this, it becomes necessary to know what are the vikshepas so that we can overcome them one by one. If one puts his mind into the deep thinking in a precise manner, we will realize, irrespective of which marga you are taking, whether it is Jnana Marga, Karma Marga, Bhakti, or Raja Yoga under study, which we are studying, all the vikshepas are tackled head on. The names may not be the same. Laya, Nidra, Kashaya, Rasa, Swada, these are the obstacles according to Jnana Marga. There are 9 obstacles in Patanjali Yoga Sutra. So the names could be different. The essence or the gist is same. So anybody who is in Adhyatma, anybody is in Adhyatma meaning any attempt or effort to know the nature of oneself is called Adhyatma. And any attempt to know the nature of the world is called Tattva Jnana. Let's be very clear on the definition of what is Tattva Jnana. Tat, it starts with Tat, that. So whatever is that, the knowledge of that is Tattva Jnana. Whatever is Idam is Tattva Jnana. Whatever is me, nature of mine, who am I, Nanyar, is called Adhyatma. So when we study Adhyatmam, irrespective of any of the margas, all the obstacles have to be undertaken seriously. We are not in Adhyatma if we do not look after the obstacles in Adhyatma. That is why these 9 antaraya or the 9 obstacles enumerated by Patanjali Maharaj are extremely crucial for anybody who claims that he is a sadhaka or yogi. Howsoever recitations you may do, howsoever banging on the doors of temples we may do, it shall be of no use. Spending 1 hour, 2 hours in satsang, we may feel that we are doing a great job, but it is virtually good for nothing if one does not work on it. And Yoga Shastra is the only darshana which is practical in nature. Patanjali Maharaj is not interested so much in philosophical discussions as much in practical implementation. That is why these 9 obstacles are nothing else but the challenges that we all are facing, and we must take them head on if we want to be really successful in the attempt of satsang and sadhana. N number of people assembling for the satsanga without caring what these 9 things would mean, the satsang is waste of time. Why do we sleep when the satsanga starts? Why do you doze off? Why do you feel that it is something too difficult, don't want to do it? Oh, who is going to read Upanishads? Worldly life is a better life. Going out, drinking alcohol, having friends, doing parties. It all attracts the mind. Same extent of attraction is not there for the Adhyatma sadhana because of these obstacles. So keeping the obstacles where they are and expecting us to be terribly interested in Bhagavad Gita or Prasthanatrayi is a futile exercise. After saying so much, let's see what Patanjali Maharaj has to say about these 9 obstacles, of which the first one, Vyadhi, is what we saw last time. Anybody who has not kept his body, physical body I'm talking about, anybody who has not kept his body in sound condition cannot move forward, because that is the first obstacle. The Lord has given us the body. The body is supposed to be in the sound shape. Every creature that is produced by the Lord, none of them require medication. None of them go so badly under the disease except the human being. A cursory look towards our surroundings will tell us that the dogs, the cats, the birds, the snakes, which hospital did the snake go? Which doctor attended to the deer which are jumping in the jungle? That means the body has been mishandled. Anybody who is mishandling even his physical body, how can we expect him to handle his mind well? He cannot do that. That being the case, care of the body. And care of the body means, which animal we find obese? None. Have you come across any sparrow or a crow which is overweight? No. Have you seen a sparrow sitting at one place and sulking? No. Have we seen a bird being angry for no reason? No. Yet all this happens to me. That means my mind and body both are not as they were given to me by the God. If that is the case, then mind is a difficult thing to attempt. Body or the physical structure is easier to attain. So the first thing to attain is physic or physicality of the body. And that is why every sadhaka has to have a sound body. A sound body would mean a complete attention to ahara. So diet forms so important a constituent that if we look at the Sri Sampradaya or a Ramanuja Sampradaya or the Vaishnavas or the Alvars of the South, Dravidian Vaishnavism, enormous amount of importance is given to the diet. The Shuddha Sattvika Vaishnava Ahar. Forget about all those debates. Even the medicine has come to the help of vegetarianism. That's a completely different aspect. But food alters thought has been the concept in our philosophy for a very long time. Ahara Shuddho Dhruva Smriti. A sharp memory is a reflection of a sattvic ahara. So we have to be very careful about what we eat, how much we eat. Gorakshanath in his Gorakh Samhita and Swatmaram in Hatha Yoga Pratipika very clearly mentions a yogi has to be lean. Now the medical faculty is talking about BMI, but leanness of body. Breathing as less as possible. Pounding the heart rate at the lowest possible rate. An excellent physic athlete has a heart rate of as less as 32. Carl Lewis had 32 heart rate. A yogi breathes with maximum 2 to 3 breathings per minute, while we breathe at almost 18, and the medical fraternity calls 12 as normal. What it means is even the body that was given to us by God has not been kept the way we should be, because I have increased the number of demanding cells of the body by increasing my weight and becoming obese. And then I run helter-skelter to the cardiologist who himself is not keeping his wealth well and mind well. For the physical work that we do, we definitely require the physical fitness, but it is more required when one wants to practice Yoga Shastra. The ability to sit at one place like a rock while you're focusing on your mind and breathing. You cannot expect your body to ache, fatigue. That is because such a mind, such a body is called Vyadhi, a diseased body. The stupid explanation of health is absence of disease. Absence of disease is not health. Health is a positive feeling where you feel the bubbling enthusiasm to do everything that comes across you. That is possible when the body is adequately maintained through enough exercise and precise diet that one requires. If this simple instruction of even having the body block is not followed, how do you expect such a person to practice the yoga of a higher standard? Even Hatha Yoga is not properly practiced. Raja Yoga is beyond reach in such cases. We have seen enough about the Vyadhi during the last session. So it was Dhatu, Rasa, Karana, Vaishyamyam. We saw what was Dhatu, what is Rasa. So Dhatu, Rasa, Indriya, Nyunya, Adhikam is Vyadhi. The second important thing is Styanam. Second obstacle is Styanam. I am precisely spending more time on this sutra because all the elaborate discussion of Sampradnyat, Asampradnyat, Samadhi is wonderful to hear. But those are the descriptions of Mount Everest, which we are far away to scale. Let us think about our own preparation even to scale the first 1,000 meters. for which we require the removal of obstacles. So the styanam, stya is the dhatu, styanam is called akarmana chittasya. Many times, and why many times? Almost every day, we come across a situation where the body may not be so much tired, but the mind is tired. The mind says, Rehne do, not now, maybe later. Let me just be at one place. I just don't want to get up. I didn't feel like doing it. The stupid word which we use every day is, I don't feel like doing this. And that is why we always make a statement, I wanted to do the exercise today, did not feel like doing it. That is called sthanya. Chittasya akarmana avastha. And the reason for that is not far to found. The reason for that is pranamaya kosha is under trouble. My dear sir, we all know that we are 5 koshas. So annamaya kosha or the sthula sharira, you may keep yourself fit. But there is something called mind feeling like doing something. Enthusiasm. Suppose you're dead tired and a call comes from a friend and he says that let us have two glasses of drinks. All the laziness of body is thrown away and you say, yeah, why not? I'll come right away, or you come to my place. What happened? The mind suddenly became energetic. You used all your pranamaya kosha, pulled up the pranas to do something because you like it. The question is, this dhyanam is not laziness. Laziness is different. Laziness is heaviness, gurutvata. Styanam is a mental condition, psychological disposition. The worst of styanam, worst of psychological disposition is depression. A person with depression has a wonderful body, but he says, I don't feel like getting out of the bed. Why? Pata nahi. His mind has become sick. We call such people as people with sick mind. Sick mind means psychologically he is not able to prop up himself. That is because of acute crisis in pranamaya kosha. And pranamaya kosha is composed of nothing else but pancha pranas. Pancha upapranas and prana, apana, vyana, samana, udana, pancha pranas. These are 5 different names given to the same prana depending upon the functionality and the area where it works. For example, apana vayu pushes the dirt outside. Utsarga, the motion, the urine, the semen, whatever is propelled out is because of the pressure created by the vayu called apana. So it's a functional division. But all in all, it is a prana vayu. From where it comes? It comes from the air that we breathe. A vital aspect of our health is breathing. It's the one whose breathing is affected, because of which the prana in the shariram is affected. He suffers from mental disorders. In a serious form, they are psychiatric disorders. In a simpler form, they are the tendencies of laziness coming out of mind. Styanam. You will be surprised to note that amongst the 9 obstacles described by Patanjali Maharaj, Shwasa Prashwasa is one of them. How can Shwasa Prashwasa be obstacle? That is because the Shwasa Prashwasa, if it is not happening the way it should happen, the breathing in, inhalation, and exhalation, breathing out, if it is not happening the way it is supposed to happen, it is also called as the effect of obstacle. In this world, there are only 2 types of people who breathe normally. One is an infant less than 1 year of age, and the second person is an accomplished yogi. Everyone else is having a problem with the breathing. And that is the reason why we are supposed to be very, very careful about the breathing that we do. We are going to have the details about this as we move forward. But to understand the languor, the word stanya, the English word for that is languor. Languor is languishing, is what we have heard. Languor is akarmanna chittasya. That's why to avoid the mental fatigue, we must have proper breathing. A proper breathing would mean there are 3 things we need to keep in mind, and mind well, I'm talking with reference to the modern medicine. With God's grace, being a man from medicine, I can correlate it very well with the latest developments that are happening in the science of medicine. And that is why more and more yoga is being explored by medicine these days. Not so much by the Indians, but more by the advanced physicians and the research physicians, neurophysicians in Europe and America. A simple fact is, when we breathe in, the quantum of breathing that we do, is the quantity of prana that we take inside. Second is, the pressure with which we breathe will decide how much pranam will be going inside the body. So it has to have a pressure. So the quantity, the pressure, and how much prana vayu is there in the air, the concentration of oxygen. Suppose you're breathing a polluted air, your quantum may be adequate, but the concentration of oxygen is not so. That is the reason you see the first thing in emergency in any hospital is they put an oxygen mask, trying to give pure oxygen. So the concentration or the purity of pranavayu, quantum of pranavayu, pressure of pranavayu, these 3 things decide how much air goes inside your body. Unfortunately, with one breath, normally we take about 500 ml of breathe, the pranavayu inside. But if we sit quietly and breathe completely, the quantum goes to 3.3 liters, that is 3,300 ml, almost 6 times more. So how are we supposed to breathe? We are meant to breathe so properly that every breath in should have taken about 3 liters of oxygen or pranavayu, while we are taking close to about 500 to 700. Same as the story about what we exhale, the result of which is we are constantly oxygen or pranavayu deprived. The reason why we breathe faster than required is because we constantly think. We think with speed. Mind well, about 25 to 30% of body's energy is utilized by only one organ called brain. Brain doesn't move but consumes energy. Where does this energy go? The energy goes essentially in thinking. So a stressed person, meaning otherwise a person whose thoughts are rushing, he requires more oxygen, but actually he is getting less oxygen. So a continuously oxygen deprived prana vayu, deprived condition for a period of time ultimately leads to habituation, ultimately leading to acute requirement of prana vayu in the prana kosha, leading to dissipation of pranamaya kosha, leading to the mind suffering from various disorders. The obvious manifestations being sadness, anger, hatred. Serious manifestation being a range of psychiatric disorders. 1/3 of the world's population is suffering from some or the other forms of depression. So to avoid stanya, we must ensure that the body has been given sattvic ahara. The mind's aharam is pranavayu. Both the body's ahara and the mind's ahara, both should be given proper care. How can you breathe sufficiently powerfully, sufficiently in quantity, and sufficient in concentration? Stay away from the place where there is less concentration of oxygen. So being closer to the nature, away from the crowd, away from the polluted places. There is no other choice. If the concentration goes down, you see anybody who has traveled to Leh, Ladakh, you're not allowed to go outside because you start feeling giddy, because you're not acclimatized, because the pressure of oxygen is less. So anytime when the concentration of oxygen and the pressure of the oxygen, so the concentration and the pressure both are important. That is the reason why the Hatha Yoga has what is called Kapalabhati. It's a forceful inspiration, expiration. In Kapalabhati, we generally have about 2 respirations in 1 second because we do it faster, 2 breaths per second. But can you believe that in 1 minute in Kapalabhati, 18,000 cc's of oxygen goes in? 18,000, while normal breath is 500 ml. That is as big as almost 200%, 300%. I believe somebody's microphone is on. Somebody's microphone is on. If it could be just switched off.
Done, Sanjay.
That is the reason why a breathing has to go with proper concentration of oxygen, with pressure, and with sufficient period of length. So in one who wants to avoid the mental fatigue has to remain as much calm as possible. Breathe deep, breathe long, breathe with sufficient pressure. When can you breathe with sufficient pressure? When your physical body, that means the intercostal muscles, the rib cage, the diaphragm, they are in sound condition. When will they be in sound condition? When you do not have too many cells in the body than required. Man is the only person, only species, human beings, who accumulate the fat cells. Absolutely unnecessary. But mind well, everything that is in the body has to be given oxygen and glucose. For which, then the body goes under overwork mode. And overwork mode is, as it is you are breathing less, plus your body is requiring more pranavayu. And the resultant fact is you need to breathe faster. So the breathing rate goes beyond 18, 20, 24, 25, 28. That's why you will see a obese person always panting and puffing. Rather, he has so much of reserve of energy. And what does he do with this energy? Because of his mind being adequately saturated with the pranavayu, his body being lean and supple and properly exercised, without any disease, the machine is now fit enough to undertake the journey of yoga. If these are not there, mind well, there is no point in studying anything in yoga. The only exception for this are the people who are self-realized. After the realization of Atman, none of these conditions matter to them. So you may see some of the realized sadhus being obese. Mind well, they have reached the destination. Do not try to compare their bodies with us. As a sadhaka, Swami Shivananda, all his disciples used to do regular yoga asanas. He himself used to conduct it. Some of his disciples like Vishnu Devananda became yoga masters. Our own Gurudeva was a part of excellent yoga doers in the company of Swami Shivananda in his early phase. Then focus on every sadhu's early phase. Don't focus on the later phase. That is accomplished phase. We always see that. We don't see the amount of effort these people have taken in their early part of sadhana. So styanam is mental fatigue, which is a karmanyata of the chitta, which is feeling like not doing something. So ask a question to yourself. Do I feel like being on my feet? Or do I feel like couching on the sofa? If I feel like couching on the sofa, the mind is not in a right condition. In Padmasana, you should be able to sit for at least 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour. Siddhasana, not every time Sukhasana. That indicates the physical competence as well as the mental alertness. When you say you should be alert while listening, how a person with a sthanya can understand what is being discussed? If your mind is not alert, whether you're reading a book, whether you're listening to a satsanga, nothing will go inside the head. Why? The mind has lazied out. Pranavayu shortage is there. Why do you think in our Friday Gita class we have deep breathing? We do Omkara. Why do we do that? We recharge ourselves. But just by doing 3 Omkaras, having a huge tummy will not work, sir. Forget about all Raja Yoga. Focus on first your body and mind. Make it absolutely fit. And then enter the school. You can't be dirty and shabby and not having uniform and enter a school. Similarly, you have taken care of Vyadhi and Sthanam. After this, the next obstacle comes, which is Samshaya. What is Samshaya? Samshaya is opposite of Shraddha. Shraddha on what? On everything. Suppose somebody wants to study Patanjali Yoga Sutra and he starts with a point that I don't know what it is. Something has been said, but who knows? What is the guarantee that this yoga works? Who knows what is mind and Sampradnyat Samadhi? Who has seen it? Show it to me. These dumb people are to be avoided and shunned altogether, because Shraddhavan labhate jnanam, Shraddha has to be there. Samshaya is hoga ke nahi hoga. Will it be or will it not be? If you are studying Raja Yoga, you must have complete Shraddha on Patanjali Maharaj, Vivekananda Maharaj, Gurudev. If they have done it, it has to be true. And I completely believe in it. I have a full faith in it. It's called Shraddha. But when I don't have it, Ubhaya Koti Sprugvidnyanam Syat Idam Eva Na Evam Swat Iti. Is it there or is it not there? Suna to hai, there is something called Adhyatma, but will it really work? Will it really change me? I've heard of these Maharaj people, Swamijis, but really it works. This is called Samshaya. Samshaya is an aberration of mind called Vikshepa. That's why it is an obstacle. Samshaya is an obstacle. Any doubt in the mind about the efficacy of Yoga Shastra is Samshaya. Ubhaya Koti Sparshidnyana. Sometimes believing, sometimes not believing. This is third obstacle. Pramadaha is the fourth obstacle. Pramada. Pramada means what? It's a beauty to look at this particular word called pramada. Why it is an obstacle? According to Patanjali Maharaj, you should be always in samadhi. See how the statement sounds so strange. Patanjali Maharaj expects us to be always in samadhi, so not being in samadhi is pramada. Needless to say, we are all pramadi people, except few brilliant exceptions like Gurudeva, Vivekananda, Ramakrishna. They are pramada rahita. Pramadaha samadhi sadhanam abhavam. Those who are not in samadhi are in a pramadi avastha. Pramada because they are working through prama. Prama means our buddhi. Our buddhi is called prama. So whatever we understand through our buddhi is bound to be mistake, because the mind of this type itself is a mistake. So it is pramada. While that buddhi, which is of a Rutambara type, which is prajna, which is dissolved beyond ahankara, that buddhi, or the buddhi of Gurudeva or Swami Vivekananda, is called samadhi buddhi. So pramad, vyadhi, styanya, samshaya, pramada. Then the fifth obstacle is alasya. We are all familiar with this alasya. In fact, in a day, majority of the times we feel lazy. Ask the reason, hundreds of alibis and excuses. Neend nahi hui. I have not slept well. I am feeling today little dull. I'm little lazy. And the next person in front also say, yeah, it is same with me. A group of fools coming together discussing their condition. Forget about everyone around you. Think of you and Gurudeva. How often Gurudeva in his lifetime, every time we just clap when Gurudeva's name comes, but we don't observe him, dissect Gurudeva. Find out why he was never alasya pramada purna. He was always bubbling with enthusiasm, with that absolute sonorous voice, cascade-like words, lion-like walk, brilliance on the face, ever ready, sleeping for 2 hours, sir. Not like 8 and 10 hours like us and still feeling, oh, I have not slept well. Why the difference? The difference is because there is no alasya, because kayasya chittasya gurutvat pravrutti is alasya. The Vyakhya as per Patanjali Yoga Sutra Bhashya is heaviness of body and mind is alas. Heaviness of body and mind is alas. That means to avoid alasya, the body and mind cannot be heavy. Body cannot be heavy, understood. You cannot be overweight. You cannot be without exercise. You cannot be with any kind of ahar that you are taking. Why? Because some of the aharas directly produce mandyata, alasya. Eat to your heart's content. You will feel ab nahi ab sota hu. I feel like sleeping. Naturally, sir, you ate more. Nowhere it is written that after food you have to sleep. The reason why you sleep after food is because sleep has now required, because you have consumed so much of food that the blood flow has directed itself to the splanchnic the blood vessel towards the tummy, so that the brain decides the blood cannot be given to any other part, because now the digestion is going to require huge amount of blood for the work that is to be done. So the brain sends a signal that all of you please stop working, because the gentleman has eaten too much. The tummy is going to require the blood, so I'm shutting off other supplies, including I'm keeping the brain also at its lowest. And then you feel dizzy and you feel, I'm feeling sleepy, the swoon. You feel sleepy. That's what the diet does, because of one reason. What happened? You ate too much. You ate wrong. You ate too much. Both are wrong for the body. So, gurutvata, heaviness of the body, and gurutvata of the mind. What will burden the mind? The only thing that can burden the mind is its own thoughts. Too many things at too much of speed. And a burden is something which you carry on your shoulder, and after some time you throw it off. But in mind, we keep carrying the burden, we don't throw it off. The thought keeps coming again and again. And what are those thoughts? This bloody husband of mine, this bloody wife of mine, that bloody friend, that bloody brother, he did something to me. I don't know. The God has not been kind to me. I wish this could be annihilated. The local people are so bad. The Americans are like this. The Keralites, the Maharashtrians, this. Oh, so much of burden, heaviness of mind. The mind is becoming heavy. Shake it off. One thought at a time. What am I doing? I am communicating with my fellow sadhakas about Patanjali Yoga Shastra. Let the mind have only one thought. No. If I'm talking, am I talking well? Are my words coming with a lot of impression? How everybody would feel? Will they call Dr. Jadhav is a very intelligent person, etc., etc., etc. Sir, you're gone. Gurutvata of the mind, gone, blasted. Khalas. One single stream of thought. I am Lord's representative. Lord wants to speak something through the mouth. Put it in the best possible juicy words. And then let there be Allah everywhere. With pleasure and enjoyment, we will try to learn what the Lord has to say and focus on what is being said. One thought about one sutra, obstacles, and that's it. The mind is not anymore under lagutva. Alasya is gone. That is precisely alasya. Alasya kayasya chittasya gurutvat pravrutti. Heaviness of body and mind is alasya. So we have seen vyadhi, styana, samshaya, pramada, alasya. 5 obstacles we have seen. The reason why we are seeing obstacle is if they are not tackled, they are not removed, there will be no change in the life. That is the reason why we have been listening to Bhagavad Gita for 20 years. There is no change in life. Because it is coming from here, going out from there. No implementation. After some time, we are going to study about Yama Niyama. Ashtanga Yoga is going to be coming after some time. In Sadhana Pada, we are going to study about the Ashtanga Marga. There we will be talking about Yama Niyama of the mind, etc. We are not able to follow the simple Yama Niyama. What do you eat? If somebody is told that, sir, please have only fruits for 2 days. Oh no, how can I do that? There is no control on tongue. There is no control on thought. There is no control on respiration. Uncontrolled, unbridled life. No wonder we are suffering. We are neither breathing properly, we are not eating properly. As a logical outcome, we are not thinking properly. Thoughts change the respiration, and the reverse is also true. Respiration changes thoughts. That is how the yogis caught hold of this respiration as the only instrument. If one wants to go a little deeper into it, one of the famous physiologist as well as physician, Dr. David Koutler, who has written a beautiful book on anatomy of Hatha Yoga, has mentioned that the autonomous nervous system, which is sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous system, which is not under our control, but controls the whole body, can be altered with the help of breathing alone. So proper breathing is a key to mental stability. Breathing and pranayama, as we move forward in Patanjali Yoga Shastra. But sufficient to say at this moment that these obstacles have a lot of thing to do with the ahara and the shwasa prashwasa, inhalation, exhalation. So vyadhisthana samshaya pramada alasya. These are the 5 obstacles we have seen today. We will see remaining 4 in the next session, and then we'll be going to the effect of this obstacle. Mind well, these obstacles are being studied for the effect purpose, and the effect of these obstacles, the first and the foremost effect is dukkham. So conversely, if dukkham has to be avoided, obstacles are to be taken care of. We are trying to find out a solution to the dukkham by creating more dukkham. But Patanjali Maharaj says, hold on, it all happens in the mind. So work on the mind, dukkha will evaporate, sublimate. And that is why we will focus on the remaining 4 obstacles in the next session. Hari Om. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Sanjay ji. We'll just give a moment in case sadhaks have some clarifications.
Hari Om, Sanjay ji.
Hari Om.
You were mentioning about the our intake. Normal intake is 500 ml air, while breathing, and a normal person in a peaceful environment, it will be 3 liter.
Yes.
3 liter. When in that stage, what will be the pulse rate? 3000.
Naturally, when the oxygen concentration is enough, the pulse rate starts dropping. So a healthy person breathes less and his pulse rate is very less. A breathing of a healthy person, and healthy means a normal healthy person, is about 7 to 8 breaths per minute. While a yogi breathes at about 2 to 3 breaths per minute because it's sufficient for him to breathe only twice. And let me also tell you one more important thing. Jati Ayu Bhoga is predetermined according to our Shastra, of which Ayu is counted by number of breaths. So supposing that you have some million breaths is your life. If you breathe faster, you are reducing your life.
Mhm.
If you breathe slower, so the choice is very simple. Would you like to live a life of tiger or a tortoise? A tiger, a ferocious, aggressive animal, lives not more than 15 years. A tortoise breathes slowly, works slowly, lives for 400 years. The technique is same throughout the nature. So, as the breathing goes down in terms of rate and as the volume goes up, in fact, when you breathe fully, it is called inspiratory reserve volume, FRV, forced inspiratory reserve volume, FIRV, in the language of pulmonology. So when you breathe full deep, 3,600 cc's of air goes in. While when we breathe normally, only 500. So every time there is an oxygen deprivation. And that is not happening because we intend to breathe less. The thoughts in the mind compels you to breathe faster with a smaller quantity. How do you think an angry person is not able to speak? Why? He's gasping for the air. Because of the anger, the breathing has become so fast, so his words are also not completed because he is angry. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om Sanjay ji, when we talk of pramada, not
Ji.
being in samadhi, I'm just trying to understand why would, is it, I understand that that's the aspiration, but why is it considered, I mean, people have to get there, right? If we were already in samadhi or we would have been in that state, we may need to have been even born because we have now, or
No, let us put it this way. When you go into samadhi, for example, Gurudeva went into samadhi. Now what happens once you go into samadhi and got acquainted to the Purusha, thereafter you are virtually not alive, in the sense that you remain in your body because of your prarabdha karma. So you will continue to have some more days in your life. There is no rebirth. Why? Sanchita is already over. It is destroyed. Even in prarabdha also, although you do behave in this world, you do not behave or you do not act with the same prama or the buddhi as we. They have a special prama called prajna prama or ritambara prama, so that whatever they do is the most perfect thing in the world. That is why they are called as dharma medha people. So that is why samadhi means it's not only that when you close your eyes and you're oblivious of the surrounding, it is samadhi. Samadhi ultimately leads to which state? Atmadhyana. Atmadhyan doesn't mean that you will be like a log of wood. So Atmadhyani, like Gurudeva, continued to giggle and laugh and make jokes and talk and wear clothes and everything. So while wearing, he did not put button here, he put it properly because that knowledge is utilized. But the very fact that from the standpoint of buddhi, it is done the way it is to be done without involvement of the ahankara into it. Our vikshepa, because every time we use our buddhi, is with a standpoint of me, ahankara. So whatever acts we do, both of us have the same instrument. Gurudeva had buddhi, we had buddhi. The difference between the utilization of buddhi is one is ahankara yukta buddhi, so it was prama. One is ahankara virahita buddhi, so rutambara. That is why the difference in the act, that is the only difference. So that is why when they say, when you are not in samadhi, you are into pramada, mistake. Pramada is mistake. Pramada means you're working through your egocentric buddhi, is called pramad. Hari.
Yes. So one more thing you mentioned about, I understand that, stress and everything is caused because of lack of breathing, but is there any mention anywhere that, where you had mentioned about psychological diseases being a function of breath? Is there any, work being done on that? Because normally,
Yes, a lot of work has been done on that. Or for that matter, you go to any psychologist. Incidentally, I was connected with this particular psychiatric disorders for by virtue of some reasons very closely, and I have we have in medicine. If we look at all the therapies that are being spoken about, they are called dialectical behavioral therapy. There are different types of therapies we have. They're all used for depressed people. And what are those therapies that the psychologist does? He says you have to overcome, you should be aware about the situation that is happening. So they teach you what is called as awareness of the situation, making the best of the present. Do not burden your mind with the past things. They talk in this language. Actually, what are they talking? They're talking refined Yoga Shastra. Incidentally, the person has reached that stage because of the habit. And the habit came from where? From our own thought process. So when we say this man is a very angry type of man, was he born angry? He became angry. Was he born stressed? Today in medicine, every single disease from diabetes, blood pressure to anything to even skin disease, they say, are you under stress? It is because of the stress. Anything, take it, any heart attack, any angina, hypertension, even kidney, anything that you talk in medical books, I'm talking textbooks, the factor is stress. What is stress? Stress is thought. And what is a stressful thought? Thought is normally not like Gurudev thought. Gurudev thought of getting up in the morning. Did it put stress on him? What about us? Getting up in the morning put stress. I hope I will get up in the morning. Stress started. Gurudev wanted to conduct a session. So it was his work. So he was going for conducting a session. Was he under stress? He was not. What about us? Hey, I have to go to the office. Please don't disturb me. I'm really late. What is happening? Sir, every moment we are creating stress. It's all because we are not disciplined. How is it that we are late for the office? Who made you late? Our behavior. And because of this, everything not being disciplined, because yama niyama, we are going to come to that in Ashtanga Yoga. It's very much detailed there by Patanjali Maharaj. Gurudeva conducted so many workshops. In the initial period, he used to write own envelopes, he used to close, put his newsletter, dispatch it, everything, including there was something sent by Dilipji to me on WhatsApp, where without forgetting, even though he was traveling, he put a postal card in Paris into the post box and mentioned that I'm sorry I'm late because I reached Paris. What does that mean? Nothing that he forgot. Remember, forgetfulness is tamasi pravrutti, and forgetfulness is because we are not attending it properly. आजकल मैं भूल जाता हूँ. How dare you? You're not giving attention to yourself. नहीं, but क्या करेंगे? आजकल no. Don't take alibi. Don't take excuses. You are a yoga student. Be alert and be very clear to yourself. What is Shivananda Maharaj's spiritual diary talking about? Diet. Okay, I'm so fond of, leave that fond of thing. He says, leave everything that you like once every month. People with blood pressure are not supposed to have salt, and yet the person says, Mera ta papad ke bina jamta nahi hai. How the hell do you expect you to be a yogi or a sadhaka? To become engineering and doctors, you study so much. Then to become Jivan Mukta, you think is something that can come while walking on the footpath? Better work hard for it, and you need to work hard for it. So there has to be a solid determination, nishchaya. Tuka mane hechi phala nishchayache bala. If you have determination, then things happen. Gurudeva had determination. So Balakrishna Menon became Gurudeva. We expect to become Gurudeva with our own meager resources and meager efforts. Sorry, sir, it can never happen. That is the reason why the stress that leads to the depression has now been treated through both yoga. The yoga has been tried that. The only problem with these people is they do not have the initiative to do the breathing also, because they are so much into the dark abyss of depression. So first they are treated with therapies, etc. But they are adding this breathing exercises. They call it breathing exercises. Call it by any name, sir. It is yoga. Proper breathing, proper diet, that makes this temple. Thoreau, Henry Thoreau called body is a temple. He was a great intellectual as well as a great sadhaka. He never was wearing proper clothes, although he was a professor of philosophy. But whenever he used to go to visit a tree, he used to dress himself properly and go to visit the trees. And anybody asking him, he would say, no, I have to meet the trees today. If I have to meet the people, I don't bother. The gist of that story is, what is right, what is wrong, which company I should be in, collecting friends at the weekends, spending time with our relations, ha ha ho ho, iski shadi hai, uska, nothing is going to help, sir. Work on yourself. That is why Patanjali Yoga Sutra should be digested fully by understanding the purport of what he's trying to say. So moment we read about Vyadhi, obstacle, we should immediately make a decision in the mind. I shall not let my body have any disease. Are we meant to be born with a disease? No. We are supposed to die at a particular age. That is the part of the nature. But till then, it has to be a sound body. How can I have backache, neck ache, cervical spondylosis, headache, common cold, sinusitis, throat infection, pharyngitis, influenza? What is happening? How is yogi surviving in the jungles? Who is giving the medication? Nobody. Their medication comes from the pranavayu and the falahara. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Sanjay, what is the meaning of missing the point and illusion?
Missing the point. See, pramada is also missing the point in the sense, let us first see what illusion is. Illusion is called Bhranti in Shastra. The name of the illusion is the word for Bhranti. Bhranti means to see or recognize something as different than what it is. If it is shining and it is a seashell, I think it is a silver. So I think silver, it is actually a seashell or mother of pearl. So this is called Bhranti. Making mind to understand something different than what it is. And what is this Brahma? Right now in this world, everything we say, oh, it is Meenakshi ji, this is Himanshu ji, this is Dr. Jadhav, isn't it? We say that, but is that so? It is not. So that is why whatever we see in this world and we call this world as world is nothing else but illusion or Bhranti. Then what is the right thing? It is only when you take that mother of pearl in the hand, you come to know, oh, it is not silver. Similarly, when you have Atma Darshana, when you have Purusha Khyati, or when you become Jnani, then suddenly you realize, I am not speaking to Meenakshi ji, I am speaking to whom? The extension of consciousness. I'm not speaking to Himanshu ji. Who is he? Oh, he is just this extension of consciousness, but he's suffering. Oh, that is because of his karma. He's suffering. So I'm able to separate the individual between somebody who is subjected to the cycle of birth and death through the samskara and the karma and the consciousness. So they focus only on consciousness. Rest is paraphernalia. So this is called Bhranti Nash. So Bhranti is nothing else, but another technical word for a Bhranti or illusion is Khyati. We have seen that in Kathopanishad, Sat Khyati, Asat Khyati, Anyatha Khyati. So those are Khyati means there are technical things, Tattva Jnana, which says that if this world is not real, then where from this idea of world came? Is it imposed from some other idea of the world on this world, etc.? This is a fine threading of the concept of illusion. But Brahma, illusion means seeing or thinking something other than what it actually is called Brahma. And generally the Brahma and Pramada, because once you have the Brahma, then Pramada happens. Once you call it as a silver instead of mother of pearl, then you start saying, if I get this silver, then I'll make an ornament out of it. This is called Pramada. First you have a wrong notion, and then you build the castles on the wrong notion. So Bhranti and Pramada. Hari.
Sanjay ji, one more quick question. You have mentioned about that you will explain about the Yama Niyama, and just wondering, in Vishnu Sahasrama, there is one stanza says, Adindra Sargaha Sargo Dridhalma Niyamo Yamaha. Is it some relation same?
Yes, exactly. See, the thing is, when you do Yama Niyama, or when you regulate, let us take a very simple word. You regulate your lifestyle. Means what you are doing? You are trying to, I'm not eating this, I'm eating this, I'm getting up at this time, Brahma Muhurtam, I'm doing exercise. All this you are doing. If somebody asks you, sir, what are you getting in doing all this? Nobody is giving you money. Nobody is giving you anything. But you feel, I'm very happy, I'm able to get up early in the morning. Why? Where from that happiness is coming? Because discipline, Yama Niyama, is nothing else but the part and parcel of the cosmic arrangement of the Lord itself. That's why you feel happy. A runner, every day you jog or run, you feel happy. As a personal example, I can tell, approximately about 10 kilometers every day I run. At the end of the run, I feel happy. That is, of course, because of the release of serotonin in the body. That's a medical part. But that happiness comes from where? How running is related to happiness? Because it is the norm of the nature. Any normalcy gives happiness. And that setting up normalcy is niyama. One who is already disciplined, he doesn't require yama and niyam. He's constantly in the happiness phase. That is why we have deviated. So when you come from deviation to normalcy, it makes you feel happy. And for example, a person who is studying, he said, yesterday I could read Bhagavad Gita very well. Pata nahi, ekdam mood lag gaya tha na. I was very happy. For 1 hour I read Gurudeva's lecture. I heard Gurudeva's lecture. I felt good. How can hearing make you feel good? Because it relates to the discipline. That is why for happiness, discipline is must. Discipline gives you, suppose you drop 10 kilos of your body weight. Why do you feel happy? Nobody has given you something in the hand. The very idea that you could do something, you feel like achievement. You call it achievement. What do you achieve? Achievement itself means falling in line with Lord's structure. That is why Yamya, Niyamya, these are also aspects of Ishvara. Hari.